Okay, let's get right into it. So basically, these are potential 2024, and of course, my phone starts ringing right then. 2024 side hustles, or put another way, jobs that essentially you could do as a disabled person. And one of the important things to remember about this is that there are certain restrictions you have to watch out for. We're not going to go through all of them right now, but the bottom line is I want to give you some ideas that you can think about that maybe you could apply to essentially have a little bit of extra income going through 2024. Now, we know a couple of things are going to be happening in 2024. There's a presidential election. We know that the economy is still going to be very, very bad. We know that it's not really going to recover under the current methodology being used. We know that things are getting more and more difficult. So I don't just mean going to the grocery store buying groceries. I mean like insurance, how much taxes really cut into the bottom line. Because the closer you get to the bottom line, it's worse and worse, more of a gouge. So I wanted to go through some options here. Now, this is not the video where I outline every single restriction that occurs when you earn a dollar and at what point you get taxed, and at what point they cut off the benefits, etc. I'll do one of those. But this is one of the videos where we just take a look at potential options that you should consider. Now, please remember, if you like this channel, if you like me making these videos, please remember to like. Don't be stingy with the like button, and subscribe. Click the all button. If you really want to support it, there's a membership option, $4.99 per month for the appreciation option. Now, remember, when considering these jobs, if you're on SSI benefits, then you need to watch out for the SGA and resource limit. Those are the two main things. There's other things as well, but those are the two main things. If you're on SSDI benefits, then you need to watch out for just the SGA limit. When considering jobs, you need to consider the amount per hour, right? This always comes down to hourly amount. The physical and mental strain. So physical issues you might have with it as a disabled person, or the mental strain that you might have with it as a disabled person, or potentially an elderly person. And then you have to consider basically what's going to happen with the potential of a CDI unit investigating you as a result of doing a job. Because remember, CDI units are in every state now. They have little micro units all over the states. They're all over the place now. Okay. So just a quick rundown. The SGA limit is $1,550 for non-blind disabled individuals and $2,590 for blind individuals. So just kind of keep that in the idea spectrum. Okay. Now, make sure, obviously, you earn under that SGA amount unless you have some trial work period months that you want to go ahead and use up. Cool. Now, with that said, the other thing is that some of these jobs might not work for you. I get that. I understand it right up front. Just let them, flow through. We're going to be doing a bunch of them. They could require physical movements. They could require physical movements that have range of motion issues or repetitive movement issues for you. They could require, basically, mental limitations for you where you're around, problematic people, aggressive individuals, crowds, all kinds of things. Or basically they put you in situations where it reminds you of a memory where something bad happened. Total possibility. The other thing that basically you have to consider is, how are these secret police on behalf of the SSA going to potentially use this against you? Because some types of work totally applauded by the SSA, especially through the trial work program. Some types of jobs not applauded, they go after you, no doubt about it. So that's just something to consider as well. Now, with that said, they can use work efforts against you to claim that you have improved as a disabled person and no longer meet the severity levels required for Social Security disability benefits. There are a lot of people out there, and remember, no matter what the CDI units find, whatever they put in their ROI, their report to the SSA, you still have to have an adjudicator at the SSA take that, make a ruling on it, and then make a decision to pull the benefits. It's not that the CDI units, get to decide that because, they're not adjudicators. So with that said, there are a lot of people out there who have spent the last 15 years of their life also telling other people about how to get a check for being disabled, how easy it is, and you should do this job and that job, and etc. A lot of those people don't exist anymore like they used to. It's getting less and less per year because way back in the day, you go back 10 years, there were like these truthsayers, these absolute gurus of disability that knew nothing about the system other than they were found disabled and that's what they did, and that always gets to benefit, right? They always played that game. Most of those individuals who weren't really disabled are now getting kicked off because of severity reasons. Some of them aged out. They just got older, and other impairments got worse, and they were still accepted as part of the 8-step sequential process with the CDR. Point is, you should really, really think about essentially what your options are, because what you have per month is not keeping up with the cost of living adjustment to what it costs to live in America. And unfortunately, America is becoming this like luxury country, not in the sense of what it was. Like it was always a quasi luxury country. Like people would always say, where you're born is a lottery. Like if you're born in America, then you won the lottery. If you're born in Uzbekistan, you didn't so much win the lottery, right? But now it's becoming a luxury where to even live here, it's becoming just financially too much. And we're going to get to the point, if we keep going down this monetary policy, if you will, of how we handle marketplace capitalism, we're going to get to this point and how we handle the cost of living adjustment. That's the big problem. But we're going to get to this point where basically people are going to have to move out of this country to other countries just to be poor somewhere else. Think about that for a moment. You're going to potentially see people in the next 20 years, 30 years moving out of this country into another country just to be poor somewhere else. I mean, sure, we have people doing that right now, but they're moving to that other country to get a better return on investment from their benefits to spend because things are cheaper. So let's say we buy a gallon of orange juice here for, let's say, $4 or whatever it is. Okay, well, let's do a round number, $5, and then you go to this other country and it's only $1. You know what I mean? That's the big difference. So, all right. So here's what I believe are some of the best jobs. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think there are better options out there that should be considered, and we'll go through those. But here's number one. Fuel for vehicles is going to be cheap until about 6 months before December, right? Or November. You know why? It's because of the presidential election. The oil companies are not happy with President Biden. And so as a result of that, they're going to go ahead and play some games when it comes to the price of fuel, which of course, there's some presidential candidates that have more popularity with fuel companies. President Biden is obviously not one of them. Okay. So as a result of this, doing those ride shares, those Ubers, for the next 5 months is a low market cost option for you to be able to go ahead and do. Now, with that said, if you break it up and only do, one or two there, one or two there, one or two there, one or two there per day, so that you have only a little bit here, a little bit there, it's harder for them to, essentially track how much time it takes you to do it. But it is easier for them to track what money you get. And as a result of that, that money has to stay under those SGA limitations because it's super duper important. All right. And the SSI people, you get over the certain amount, they start taking away from every $2, $1 of your benefits. Okay. Job number 2 is scanning mail for friends. If they buy the scanner, your friend, you can sit there and scan their paperwork for an hour or two a day to grab some extra cash, or however they want to pay you. Most people don't realize how much paperwork is piled up over the years that can just be scanned into a computer and put on like a Dropbox or whatever. This would be providing a service that doesn't require much leg movement. However, basically, quick warning, you will be using your arms and back to put the paper in and move it and scan it, etc. But, basically scanning it and then labeling those documents. There's a ton of people out there who just have this pile of mail or this giant bookcase filled with all this mail and all this medical documentation and a history of their life. And you could potentially go ahead and, go to them, sign an agreement, non-disclosure. You won't tell anybody what you scan, and then just scan all that stuff and put it into the computer to make it easier for them. Okay. Job number 3 is an option. Reviewing comments and chats and responding for creators' social media accounts is absolutely on the list. Just remember, sometimes you'll be reading through some hate comments and it can mess with your head a little bit. I know that when I read through some of the hate comments that they put on here, I'm always just like, damn. Some people are miserable on the inside, and the only way for them to feel better is to make other people miserable. But I don't even really think it makes them feel that much better. Maybe it's like a tiny little glimmer that they have of like that, ooh, I feel better, but it's not much. Number 4, being a guest news article writer who tries out products and gets paid to write articles about how they work with someone with your impairment. So one of the unique things is that some disabled people get really smart with their impairments, and they realize that they have something that they share with a whole population of people. And one of the things that a lot of these different news media groups, especially for their online blog platforms, want to see more of are articles pertaining to specific impairments that you can try out products for, whether it's for anxiety, whether it's for depression, whether it's for, degenerative disc disease, etc. So like, think about it. You could potentially have, a thing where you write an article about orthopedic pillows. You could have a thing where you write an article about orthopedic shoes, specialty beds. You could write an article about, things, products that are sold on Amazon that help people with anxiety fall asleep. You could do any one of those. And then you could literally sell that article, that write-up, specifically to one of those newspapers. Number 5 is, of course, the classic, the one we always see, house watching or pet watching or kid watching, basically, hanging out jobs. We're just there. These are the most common jobs that you would find a lot of disabled individuals doing. The reason why is pretty simple. They usually get paid cash. That's the main thing. As an attorney, I have to tell you that you have to report all of your earnings, of course, to the IRS, blah, blah, blah. But point is, usually the sit down and watch this thing, make sure like the house doesn't, get on fire, or, the kids don't run out into the street, or the dogs don't get. The point is, this is one of the most common jobs that the disabled actually do. Retired as well. I think females tend to get more of this job in the category than men, especially for the kid watching or the pet watching, or even actually all of them, or even the house watching. Either way, these have always been kind of like the bedrock jobs of the disabled community for being able to get a little bit of extra cash. Now, why do I do this video? I do this video not because I'm here to say, wow, it sucks to be disabled, because geez Louise, they don't get much money. We all know they don't get much money. But the problem is not enough people are shining the light on the not enough money fact, and the light on the how they can get more money idea. And so the bottom line is, we need to have more solutions other than just the ticket to work program, other than the trial work period, extended eligibility period, and a few others that are there for the disabled to really have access to more opportunities. Because look, let's just be straightforward about this. A lot of the jobs that they have in the ticket to work program are these mega corporations. They suck you in, you're getting bottom dollar, and they can be a lot. I mean, look, some of these like used clothing stores, you got to work. You're on your feet very long hours. You have to run around and do a million things. You have to be on top of stuff. You really have to work. And so the point is, and I see some people already talking about that, but the point is, at the end of the day, you want to find a way to market yourself the best way you can to get a little bit extra cash, a little bit extra whatever. Because going into this future election year, you're going to be seeing things again become very expensive. No matter where you stand politically, this hasn't been a cheap past couple of years. I'm not saying that it's all one person's fault. I know that there were a lot of mega corporation owners that boosted the prices, but they did that because they knew they could get away with it. And they knew they could get away with it because nobody on the Hill was basically stopping them. And that's something nobody really talks about. Everybody's like, oh, it's those big CEOs. They did this and they did that. Oh, how could they? Well, who let them do that? Who let them do that? I mean, think about that. We couldn't have a COVID, price cap on certain foods, right? We couldn't have a COVID price cap on certain clothing. I mean, we had it for utilities, right? Didn't we have it for utility? We had it for utilities. We had a special price cap on electricity, special price cap on water, special price cap on propane, this or that. We had those, but we didn't have it for those. Okay, well, where was the Hill on that one? Why wasn't there a fix? Because at the end of the day, the working population is bitter and angry and doesn't have much money. And then a lot of them have student loans on top of that. So it's like the poorest generation that's ever existed in America. Like when people are like, oh no, people were way poorer back in the day. No, they weren't. People today have more stuff, but they have significantly more debt. So from financial terms, who had a better standard of living? Probably the people of today. But they are much poorer today because of the amount of debt that they have compared to those back in the day. Remember, those way back, they couldn't get a bank loan. You go back far enough, there weren't banks to get a loan from. So point is, I hope that you guys can essentially consider these things, start thinking about how you can market yourself as a person who can get a little bit of cash here, a little bit of cash there. And the reason why is that I am personally concerned specifically about those who get very little monthly benefits, whether it's retirement, SSDI or SSI, auxiliary benefits, spousal benefits, survivor's benefits, whatever. It's not much money. Look, I remember when I started my firm, okay, you could get a single trailer to live in, right? Where it's like one room trailer in the crappiest part of Florida for like $350, right? $350. Then it was $500. Then it was $700. You can't get that trailer now, but for $1,200 a month. I mean, like the inflation is insane. So now all these SSI disabled people, they're pumping, 4 people into a 2-bedroom, trailer that, they're not couples or whatever. They're just pumping as many people into as possible to be able to make the pay, because at the end of the day, they want heat, they want AC, they want a bathroom that works, they want a shower if they're lucky. I mean, it's bad. It's getting worse. So, anyways, guys, again, I hope you like this channel. Please remember to like, please remember to subscribe. And then basically from there, if you want to like do an extra yay, you can go to Google and type in disability resolution right there. And then basically disability resolution Florida, disability resolution law firm, and then leave a review. I always love waking up and seeing those reviews. With that said, guys, I will catch you at the next video. We're only doing 2 videos tonight. I did take, oh no, and then I go to Facebook at 9. So just be aware, I'm going to Facebook at 9, and I'm basically answering questions live. So Tuesdays, it's going to be at 9 p.m. for today. I'll be live on Facebook answering questions. The next video that we're going to talk about is basically how to describe pain when it comes to walking for Social Security disability hearing. There's a lot of people that have different methods. This is the method I use. Do I think it's the best method? I personally know it's the best method, but when we go through it, you let me know if you think there's a better method. But this, I believe, is the best method for doing analysis and then telling the judge how walking is so problematic for you. So anyways, I will catch you guys a little bit later. I see Christy Hughes, Deb Carter, very, very cool, are part of the group of members, which is awesome. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. I will see you in about 5 minutes. So catch me in about 5 minutes at the next video, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much. All right. Bye-bye.